Let me see. I'm going to keep the phone up. Oh, I think we're live. Hello, hello. Can you hear me, Maria?
Hey.
Can you see me? Are we okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yeah. All good. All good today.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Let me just check on my phone that we are actually live in the group. Yeah, it looks like we are indeed doing good. So we'll see now. I used to use StreamYard. So we'll see now. What?
I said, I hope the tech gods are good to us today.
Exactly. There's a delay, but we'll go with that. We'll go with the delay. We'll just talk slowly.
Okay.
I'm not sure where comments come up or anything, so I'll be faffing a little. But anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for your time 2 days in a row for this Inspire Me interview. I am dying to hear all about you've just had so much experience in so many different ways. Is it even possible for you to give us like a wee whistle-stop tour of your career journey to date? I know we could talk for hours about it, but that's the challenge that I'm setting for you. What do you think?
Okay. Okay, whistle stop. Always loved art, music, all that stuff. I was good at school, got loads of points at the Leaving Cert, and went off to be a national school teacher. A friend of yours, actually, Sean Ward. We got to know each other.
I remember that. That was a funny
connection. I lasted 3 months. Yeah, so
right.
I lasted 3 months. And away I went. Then I had a road traffic accident, which was it's important for the story. And then I went off and decided it kind of changed everything. I went, no, I haven't been following my passion. I was doing what I thought I should do. And even I had more points than I kind of wasted my points the way I did my CAO. I could have done loads of different things, but I had put the teaching at the top. So I followed my passion. It was my first time after the good kick in the arse of the accident to go, okay, I'm listening universe. I need to follow my passion. Yeah, and off I went to art college, did my 4 years down in Limerick. And then I didn't have an awfully good experience in Limerick. I can't say that it was full of love and roses. It wasn't. So I kind of spat the dummy at the end of Limerick and decided that, visual art was up its own proverbial and that I wasn't going to be add my energy to that crock of, So I decided.
Okay, so you felt strongly about it. We could probably say there, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I decided that music was more relevant as an art form, and I, ran away with the circus, joined a few bands, and I play a few instruments. In most things in my life, I'm a jack of all trades. There's always a multiplicity of things going on. But singing would be the main instrument, and then drums and that behind. So traveled Australia for a year, which was important because I did my first yoga class in Australia. And I had another piece of trauma after college. And anyway, yoga helped with that. So came back from that, did a cert course with FOSS about how to do multimedia. Now that sparked something big. And then I got into a fantastic course in Trinity, music and media technology. So that allowed me to bring my art, my music and my technology together. So that was a really life-changing course.
Very cool.
And then from that, yeah, brilliant stuff. From that, then I got funded to do a PhD in fine art. So I was in the first 6 people in the country to get funded to do a PhD in fine art. But I never finished it, Sinead.
Right, okay.
Started my family, moved to Donegal. Yeah. So then I suppose you'll have a lot of people in your group that get to that wall of like, wait a minute, I had all these career plans. Oh, I also want a family. How do I have both? So for me, I suppose that's when I realized that I'd no PRSI contributions in my 30s because I was still a student. And I started looking around in West Donegal, where can I get work? So community development is where I got some work. Coordinating a peace project, a cultural peace project. It was a lovely, lovely project. And then from that started doing different bits of community development and culture management and stuff around West Donegal. But in the background, thankfully, a few years ago, I trained up as a yoga teacher, and that is another big kind of, that was another big kind of linchpin in things rotating the way they should. And that put a lot of things into alignment for me. And the lockdown actually has put a lot of things into alignment for me, because I realized I actually have to somehow bring all those threads together, you know.
Okay. So just before we go to the lockdown and pulling the threads together, a big hello to everyone who's with us. Please say hello. Let us know you're here. Tell us the crack today. I hope you can hear us. I hope you can hear us and see us okay. I think it's really interesting what you said. I mean, I have that conversation so many times with those, you know, kind of obviously women in their mid-30s, you know, who are like, I'm just so ambitious. I've got so much vision and so much impact that I want to make. But now I've fallen in love and I want to have children, and what do I do? And it is such a difficult time of decision making, isn't it? In terms of where your priorities go and what you have to kind of literally put a pin in for a small while. That's what I found personally. I know it's not the same experience for everyone, but like, how did you go about, say, defining those priorities, or, you know, what was your experience at that time? I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I won't say I did a really good job at it. I think self-care has become my current mantra, but it isn't. It's a mantra because it needs to be a mantra, because it isn't something that comes quickly to me. I'd say that I put myself at the bottom of the list for the longest time, you know.
Yeah, like most
one
of
thing
us,
I did for
like
myself,
most
and
of
this
us
is
do. Mm.
yeah, one thing I did for myself, and I realized how funny it is to say this, was to start a toddler group.
Oh, right,
Because
that's not stressful at all.
and do you hear I said I did it for myself? But I needed it because I needed some adult conversation, and I needed to network in this new place where I found myself in West Donegal.
Yeah.
So I've a load of mates made from that toddler group.
Okay.
And my daughter, who was with me when I started it, she's her mates, and my son, he's his mates from it. So it was a funny one. It's a long burner. And you know, at that stage, when I was sitting on the ground in that toddler group singing Old MacDonald Has a Farm with my guitar, I didn't see my ambitions and my, you know, education going far.
I know it's a funny one though, is that we spend a certain amount of our time in our younger, maybe adulthood, just striving and exploring the world and learning. And then suddenly then we are literally in the Old MacDonald Had a Farm place, you know what I mean? Which is so beautiful. My God, don't get me wrong. But I have found through a lot of the work I've done with people, it's the, how do you come from there now that the world has changed entirely because all your priorities have realigned? How do you go from there then to like returning to yourself, or returning to a part of yourself, you know, to bring that forward? Is that where yoga came in for you? Is that kind of where it began?
Yeah, big time, big time.
Okay.
So shout out to Linda Gregg. She was my teacher, Sky Blue Yoga.
Okay.
And I'll never forget the day that I accidentally, totally don't know what I was doing, browsing the internet, looking for something, and found that there was a yoga training course in Killybegs. I just couldn't believe it. You know, it was an hour down the road. And yoga for me at that stage was something I kind of did secretly. I knew that it was very nourishing for me, but it wasn't something that anybody who knew me, they wouldn't have known I was doing it. You know, it
Okay.
wasn't something I
Wow.
spoke about. It was just this thing that, yeah. And it was
Right.
kind of largely kind of self-taught at that stage, but I had been doing it for years. And then I found Linda's course, and she's really good at bringing you in, tuning you into the energy of the practice. And then not long after, as soon as I qualified, actually, I found Charlie shoved in Glenties.
Don't
Hello.
talk, huh? The Zen master himself.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that's kind of where we cross paths, because
Yes.
for me, you and yoga are kind of synonymous, you know what I mean? So it's mad to hear of your life as a, I guess, as a novice learner of yoga teaching, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then we spent a lot of time together in those classes in Glenties with Charlie. I mean, Qigong is incredible stuff, isn't it?
It is incredible. And I couldn't, strangely, when I found my first yoga class, it was in Sydney. And I went to one yoga class, and that was in Bondi where I was living. And then across the city in a place called Surrey Hills, I found a Qigong class. And it's very telling that I traveled across the city numerous times to get to that class. But I never found another Qigong teacher until I found Charlie. And that was how many years later? But Charlie is a force of nature, and you know, we're so lucky, so blessed to, you know,
in this part of the world. Absolutely.
So anyway, those mind, yeah. So this mind-body aligning, and the hilarious thing was the unfinished PhD that's lying in folders and huge files in computers and in my shed. What was I talking about? I was talking about mind and body, the philosophy of mind and body, the need to synthesize, bring them together, holism. And, you know, it was all up here. There was, you know, it was only in one part of the brain. I was getting cerebral about it. But when I started doing the practice, you know, then it came together. So.
Well, that's amazing. So maybe there was a reason that you know, the time wasn't right to finish that PhD until you came further into your body with the whole thing. So like, do you have an intention to maybe return to finish that, or is that parked? Is that in the past, or?
Well, I've a chapter published about my work in a book, a Palgrave Macmillan book out of London, and I'm hoping to do another chapter about another piece that I'm doing this year called Filu Columcilla. And Filu Columcilla is going to be art where I'm working with people in mental health recovery. And I'm using a process that I used during my PhD. It's called a work and movement. So basically, you've heard of interactive art, but most of the time in interactive art, it's kind of the artist has it all set up, and the person coming in can do some little tiny thing, and that's all they can do as part of the process. But a work and movement is much deeper than that. So the artist sets up a process and actually allows the audience to be a co-creator. So I'm hoping to write another chapter about that once the work is done, and that work is due to start. It's already due to have started, but with the lockdown, it hasn't. So I have a feeling that the writing of that research piece will bring me back, but I've never stopped the research, particularly when it comes to neuroscience. And I found a wonderful teacher. She's an American lady. Her name is Christine Weber, can't think of her middle name, but Subtle Yoga, and she joins up the neuroscience and the yoga, and that just lights me up because it gives me, you know, all that I need.
Yeah, I love the idea that I would often be nerding it up on the neuroscience when I'm kind of putting together maybe coaching tools, you know, or something. For me, it's very much about kind of the experience, the energy and experience, and people maybe discount that a lot because, you know, like I've been talking about self-care in the group all week, and energetic self-care. I mean, it's absolutely massive, and it was a game changer for me when I kind of realized, oh, I'm a bit of an empath here, whatever the hell that means. I needed to learn about how I was you know, absorbing the energies around me, and like I think with Qigong and things where you're just grounding, there's such a cleanse going on. Can you give us a wee bit of nerdy science, just a little, for today?
Okay. So when I made I made a system when I did my PhD that it was a technology system that whenever you moved, it made sound, it generated sound, and it generated video. And very important for me was that your body was untethered in the space, that it actually had to be the space that was nerded up to make it happen.
Okay.
And I remember at the time talking to my professors about movement. It's all about movement, and they were like, "Okay, Maria, you're okay, whatever you think yourself." And it is actually all about movement, and the neuroscience of it proves it.
Okay.
So there's people like Dan Siegel, there's a guy called Deutsch, there's a play expert called Stuart Brown. I just love him. He talks so directly. And he goes so far as to say that play, and specifically movement, playful movement, is the most advanced way that the whole of nature has for creating intelligent brains. Okay, so that's, if you don't move, you're not networking your brain. So you got your little brain, the cerebellum down the back of your head, is in constant contact with this frontal lobe that you're making your decisions and your plans with, because it has measured the environment and it knows what's possible in the environment on a physical way.
Wow.
So without that, so without movement and without contact with your body, you're not really truly informed. You're living in you're up on the top of that ivory tower,
Okay,
so,
you're just blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind here today. You know what I mean? Because I think that's class. I think that we all have an instinctual, we all have that understanding that, exercise is important and emotional health is important, and the holistic thing of it all. But like to bring in the science and to have the proof that, you can physiologically prove that without movement you can't X, Y, and Z. Like, that's, what more proof do we need?
Yeah, and I have to say it again. I know I mentioned this already. It's another Stuart Brown one, that there's a little sea creature called a sea squirt, and it has rudimentary brain when it's juvenile. And when it's juvenile, it moves through the sea searching for a place to go, and then it finds a place, to be the side of a ship or a rock, and it matures, grows into an adult, and dispenses with its brain. It doesn't need its brain anymore because it's not moving.
Okay.
So it just So I mean, what?
Oh my God!
What are we thinking as? Yeah, what are we thinking in, like, as a society, to be at computers, where we have to be now to have our lives the way it's gone, where we're actually parking our bodies to the service of this. It's as if poor brother donkey body is carting around this hyper intelligent, but it's not. It's all the one. And there's another wonderful woman, if you look into Candace Pert. So she's the scientist that discovered endorphins, that we have our own natural painkillers in our bodies, and neuropeptides, and she has proven that neuropeptides are throughout the whole body, that your brain is throughout your whole body, and your emotions are actually moving swiftly with these neuropeptides around the body. So emotions aren't to be pressed down either. They're really intelligent.
Wow. Oh my God, you've got this huge body of knowledge. Actually, what coming to mind is another group member here, Mariana Wright, who's another coach down in Rossbeg. She commented this week saying, I need to focus on, I think it was physical well-being, she said, because feeling a bit chair-shaped. I thought that was great. You know what I mean? Because I can relate to that. You know, when you spend a few days, working, you're focused, and we're all very ambitious. We all want to, drive our careers forward. That's what I'm all about. But you can feel like you're bloody chair-shaped if you don't, it's so important.
There's two parts to your brain. Well, there's loads of parts, but we'll say there's two ways of thinking. There's divergent thinking and there's convergent thinking. And NASA have done this test, and it's in one of my blogs, that 98% of 4 to 5 year olds are artistic geniuses, and 2% of adults are artistic geniuses, right? So what has happened? What have we done? We've educated it out of ourselves, and what we've educated out is our ability to outside of the box. So when you're struggling with that problem at the desk, and you're banging and ramming yourself against it, you actually need to get up and play. You actually need you know, to let yourself think
Step
outside of the box.
Away from it, yeah, definitely. I mean, I would do a lot of work on that kind of, you know, ideation, you know, brainstorming, you know, and I find it's just so much fun. And that's the thing, to be creative in your life and in your career, you know, you have to have that divergent thinking. You have to question what seems obvious, you know what I mean? So I'm totally with you on that one. Okay, so let's get back to the topic of kind of self-care, mental health at the moment. What can people do at home to incorporate yoga into their lives? Or did you tell me you had programs coming up online or something? Here we go, online again.
I do. I've yeah, my first programs that are coming up are all arts based, but believe me, I'm working movement and meditation into those arts offerings. So there's the Yoga Drawing Jam. Soon to be released is Mandala Mindfulness, and soon after that then is called Habit Hacking and Journaling. So those three will have very accessible yoga based physical pieces. And then comes March, I'm going to start recording my self-care Sundays online and Donegal yoga retreats online again. So fabulous. I can't be waiting for these restrictions to let me back with people.
No, definitely not. We don't know what, you know, we don't know how long really, don't we not? So for all the people who maybe were taking your classes, I'd say they'd be really keen to get all those programs. Do you know what I mean? I'd say.
Broken.
I know you must miss your classes terrible, do you?
Really, really do. Yeah, really do. On a personal level, on an every kind of level. And I have to say that not teaching during the lockdown, I kind of lost my confidence in terms of teaching. You know, it's a muscle you need to exercise.
Yeah, I know. It's a connection thing, isn't it? With, I guess for you, it's definitely about the energy in the room as well.
100%, Sinead, and that's I'm the kind of yoga teacher. I'm in my happy place when there's 5 or 6 people around me, and I can respond to the energy in the moment, and I can respond to the knowledge of what I know about those people, that I can bring them safely through it. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't rush to Zoom my classes. I just, there's many reasons why I didn't rush to Zoom my classes. But I think the largest one is that I need to feel like we're safe together. You know, and an awful lot of is the co-regulation of being together in a social situation, you know.
Yeah. Wow, powerful. Jeekers. I just want to say, I'm checking here on the phone if there's any comments. I think everyone is just absorbing really everything you're saying. But if you have any questions for Maria, please, or comments, please do put them in the comments there, and we'll get to them. Will you tell us about the Yoga Drawing Jam? I mean, that sounds amazing. What is it? I know the picture, but I don't really know. I know I've read it, but go on, tell us what it is.
Okay, so I suppose it initially started because I love drawing, and when I was doing my sculpture degree in Limerick, I got a chance to go to Antwerp for 3 months. And in Antwerp, they did really old school art. I mean, in Limerick, it was all this conceptual, but in Antwerp, it was right back to the basics of can you draw, and also life model, you know, using clay. So I got to make one of those torsos, you know, one of those headless, legless, armless torsos. So I'd access, I'd access to a live model for my entire 5 days a week in Antwerp, and oh my God, I loved it. And anyway, I came back to Limerick and, you know, brought my sketches, and my tutor's like, yeah, whatever, and didn't, you know. So because, you know, so it was disregarded because they were into conceptual stuff. And then I always knew that I loved drawing, and I kind of left it on the back burner. And a situation happened. I was managing the theatre in Gidor, and Kim Sharkey came in that she had a course programmed, and I joined the course, and it couldn't have been at a better time for me to put back on the shoe, you know, to go life. A life-strong course.
Oh, sorry. Okay, there's a delay. A life-strong. Okay, very good. Up in Gweedore.
Yes. So
right.
So I 2 days or whatever, 3 days of constant life drawing. And it was just like, oh, why did I ever leave down this tool, this ability I have? What was I thinking?
Wow.
So I just conceived of the idea then of yin yoga is a very still kind of yoga. And there's a lot of angular shapes in it. And I was like, wow, you could definitely have the two of those practices happening in the same room at the same time. So it was conceived of as a live event, but of course with lockdown then it got filmed.
So it was supposed to be a live event, I suppose, originally in your head, and then you turned it into what? A kind of what is it as it stands?
As it stands now, it's an online course. So my new website, cokeol.ie, I've put an online learning platform on it, and the Yoga Drawn Jam is one of the first courses on it.
Okay.
So
and how long is that course?
Yeah. So it's I have an hour and a half worth of videos in it. And when you go in through the course, it's divided out, you know, so you can choose to just do the yoga, or you can choose to just do the drawing, or you can choose to, you know, go with the flow, do the whole thing in one go. I'm actually already developing it into a larger 2-part course, and I was actually working on that last night. So I was in the shed with my camera doing drawing, and in the middle of the drawing, I realized I just had this stupid grin on my face. I was enjoying myself so much. So.
Oh, class. That's what you want, like. That's what we all need at the moment, is to lose ourselves in something we just love. That's brilliant. Come here, we have a couple of comments here. So Liz says, wouldn't think of yoga and drawing together. How interesting. Thanks for the chat today, ladies. Liz, thanks a million, Liz. That's brilliant. I know Liz is based in Dublin. And then we have a comment from Alice, who's over in Yarn, Portneuf. How do I sign up for Yoga Drawing Jam? So straight to your website, is it?
So yeah, the website and follow online courses. And it's only $7.50 at the moment, because I did it for the first Fortnight Festival. I know.
Now, if I was your coach, I would be asking, why is it $7.50 for such a body of knowledge and a lifetime of work you've put into it? Maybe that's another conversation.
It's a prototype course. It's growing, and it's going to be in 2 parts in South Tipperary. Of 3 courses kind of commissioned by the South Tipperary Art Centre. So it's already developing, and so maybe the person who's interested, maybe have a look back on the site in about 2-3 weeks, and I'm already enhancing the course, so you might get a little bit more out of it.
Okay, that's
I had to work on verbalizing while I'm
Alice, who's interested.
Something else I want to draw attention to as well is the blog post on that site. So the last post I put up had a lot of scientific research about the mental health benefits of yoga, and literally you could dedicate a blog to that and put out, you know, weekly more information. There's so much research coming out about meditation and yoga. And the thing about it is that in schools, there's a hierarchy of subjects, and art and yoga and physical exercise are right flat, you know, bottom of that hierarchy. But if you're watching, and if you're looking at the research, that's where it's coming out. That's the stuff you need for your mental health.
Okay.
It's, you know, it's not the science and the maths and the, you know, the overly cerebral stuff. And I believe that there's a huge tsunami of mental health problems coming with the isolation of the lockdown.
Yeah, you're not.
That's my offering anyway for the self-care.
You're not the only person saying that.
Yeah.
Well, will you make sure on this post or event or wherever it is we've ended up here today, I think it's on both the group stream and within the event that I created, but if you would add in all those links to all those interesting things, you know, so you've got your courses, your blog, and maybe all of those other people you mentioned, you know, in case people are interested in finding out more. And please feel free to kind of, when you do release a new blog post, just pop it in the group, because I'm sure I would love to see it and I'm sure everyone else would too. So I think we have all the comments answered for today. So that is fantastic. Okay, maybe let's just finish with, say, your 3 top tips for self-care right now in lockdown. What's coming to mind?
Okay, so what's come to mind is, for myself, I just have to tell you what I'm doing myself at the moment is really slow yoga with breathing, very pranayama through the yoga. I would have previously thought that you do your pranayama, your breathing exercise, you know, separate to your asana practice. But I'm bringing it in now with the guidance of subtle yoga of Christine from that. So for me, very slow, nourishing practices, not trying to throw cool shapes.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting. Walking in the fresh air, Sinead. Yeah, walking in the fresh air. And doodling. Doodling is my new favorite thing on the planet. Doodle.
Doodle away. Okay.
See what I'm playing at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, right. Very good. That's the mandala kind of vibe, is it? Sorry.
There's a big delay. I didn't hear you.
It looks like that's kind of the mandala vibe. Is that? Did you mention that?
It is a long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was looking into the journaling process and realizing how important it is to physically write when you're journaling, and then that got me into why, in terms of neuroplasticity, why it's very important to physically write. And then doodling, I started looking at doodling. So that'll be coming in that course when it's out.
They're fantastic tips. I'm with you on the journaling. I say that to clients all the time. Your own stream of consciousness and the wisdom that comes from that is so powerful. And even if you just take 10 minutes a day, there's so much there like that can be discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And the big with that.
Sorry.
The big thing with that is to allow yourself to just get it wrong. You know, you don't have to write the meaning of life in your journal. You know, if you just write, I just had tea, it was nice. Yeah. You know, as long as you're physically writing, something else will come.
Yeah, okay, good one. Yeah, it doesn't have to have, I know what you're saying. I guess when I'm journaling, I always tend to have, you know, a real purpose behind it. I don't know, but I guess there's different ways to go about it depending on where you're at. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just had tea. It was lovely. That sounds very mindful. Yeah, good one. Eileen said, this all sounds interesting, Maria. Can't wait to read more about it. Brilliant, brilliant. So make sure you put the links here for everybody. There's definitely a few people there very interested in all of your in all of your amazing work. Like, I mean, really, I hope you give yourself credit for the amazing amount you've accomplished so far. And stay in touch with us now in the group. Let us know what you're up to, won't you?
I will, Sinead, and thanks, darling, for inviting me on. You're so good to give me the platform, and yeah, fair play.
Cool. Okay. Well, listen, thanks to everyone who joined us live, and for anyone watching the replay, you can always fire questions in the comments as well. And sure, Maria, you might keep a wee eye and come back if there's any more questions for you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Thank you, darling.
Otherwise, happy weekend.